What is up, guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. I'm, as always, your grateful host, Cam Williamson, and I think we got a good one for you today. We're going to start the episode off talking about the controversy of the last couple days, being that Kanye West got pulled off the Grammys, and the game had a lot to say about it. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Ted Cruz had an incident this morning at an airport where his flight was, I guess, canceled. He got quite upset to the point where security was called. We'll talk about that. My mother actually just had her flight canceled last week, so it's interesting. It's interesting people's take on it and stuff like that. Let's start with the Kanye thing, and then we'll get into everything else. Kanye was pulled was announced that he would not be performing at the Grammys. This all kicked off because the game put up a big post going, when will black people learn that we are essentially being treated as less? We entertain and we never get treated the same. That was the gist of what he was saying, right? In defense to Kanye West. Now, Kanye West was never officially announced as a performer for the Grammys. The Grammys was like April 4th, I think. It's the 64th Grammys. So the game is claiming that it's because he's black that he got pulled, narrating back to the Grammys' long history of racial bias. I'm not here to argue that. I was kind of out of the whole Grammy scene when they had Macklemore do that white privilege song, where it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? If you're going to tell the narrative of the issue that's going on in the country, let them tell it. The fuck are you having Macklemore get up there and be like, I'm sorry, motherfucker, what did you do? Right? So it was all this thing where, like, it seems like every time mainstream media or corporations try to do something to acknowledge civil rights issues, they always fuck it up so hard by, like, trying to quote-unquote do the right thing. I'm going to take these off because they're driving me nuts. Quote-unquote do the right thing. And it always ends up, like, showing the blatant ignorance in it. Like, having Macklemore perform white privilege back at the time when they did it was like, hey, you don't fucking understand what people were saying. You're snubbing black people from the Grammys. You're not recognizing their accomplishments and what's actually being listened to amongst the public and enjoyed by the public. And you guys are voting amongst your committee and saying this is the album of the year when it's not. Or whatever the situation is, something along those lines. The Oscars have had the same conversation, okay? Now, these are separate conversations to whether or not entertainment industries have been racially biased for a long time. Has it been within my lifetime that we've seen African American people get lead roles mainly, and Asian Americans and stuff like that? Yes. Yeah, that would not have flown. Why? It was a well-known thing throughout entertainment. It just doesn't sell. Why is that? Now, people, white people like to make the thing where, like, white people are the majority of America, so naturally we consume more. Miss me with all that bullshit. Miss me with all that. So I'm getting off topic. Let's go back to the Kanye thing. Kanye was not pulled. The Grammys even said they chose not to have him perform because of his recent internet activity and because of Instagram's decision to pull him and suspend him. They specifically notated the Instagram thing. I told you guys that was going to change a lot. That is like an official scene, like, people are viewing it as harassment. Not that you couldn't before everything else he was doing. You cannot, I'm telling you, as someone who has gone through divorces and breakups, right? The father of the children in the marital dispute cannot make a public art depiction of him cutting off the new boyfriend's head. No one is going to like that. Because what's going to happen? I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. The mom's lawyer is going to come in and go, he's violent. He's angry. He can't be trusted. And then his defense team is going to go, that's insane. He's a good father. Look at all these pictures and all these times he was there. And they go, yeah, let's roll this tape. Click. And then they're going to show the claymation of Pete getting his head cut off and buried. And Kanye's going to go, well, I'm an artist. That's my artistic expression. And they go, well, that's what's inside of you. That's what you're saying you wish could come to fruition. So ultimately, the conversation is going to come down to Kanye West needs to seek out mental health treatment. I can also attest to that because I had to go through mental health treatment, alcohol recovery treatment before I was even allowed to start a relationship with my kids, going through a divorce process. Because I got a DUI, like literally right before, the weekend before my child custody case was supposed to start. I went off the rails and everything. Yeah. It happens. It happens. That's why I'm saying, like, guys, this is not just a media stunt. It could be a very bad situation plus a media stunt in his eyes, but it's also a very bad situation. I'm not a Kanye fan. I don't know why the YouTube algorithm has been feeding me like these Kanye fanboy pages where people are like, Kanye's done nothing wrong. He's an artist and he should be allowed to respect his art, represent his art however he wants. Listen. How long are we going to have this conversation, whether it be about Travis Scott, whether it was the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, and I talked about kind of the toxic environment behind like the veteran and what it is to be a veteran and how you should carry yourself and what that means in a time of chaos, stuff like that. There's so many different situations where we see the influence of an artist, an actor, a musician, whatever it is, a podcast, for God's sakes, these days. You hold responsibility in the things that you do. So, like, there were low-key people that nobody even knows, like, coming at D.L. Hewley because of this interaction between him and Kanye. Now, this guy didn't do anything. He, like, politely talked to him in a bathroom or something at a restaurant and then tweeted that he pressed him or something. Like, it was stupid. It was stupid. But this is what the world has gone to now. We can't have a family falling apart without it becoming a public spectacle. The family's falling apart. Maybe it's that there are more perfect families out there than I'm aware of, and you guys are all sitting in your perfect houses with your perfect families that all work out every problem that you have, and every single person sticks around and nobody ever leaves and all this. Maybe you live in that reality, but I'm telling you, I don't think there's a group of us that don't. Right? So, like, watching someone's life fall apart and watching a kid's parents separate and knowing what's coming down the line in that, whether you have $100 million or you have $100, that situation sucks for that kid. Take the parents out of it. Parents will get jobs. They'll make money. They'll pay rents. They'll pay mortgages. They'll pay car notes. They'll get the kids back and forth. But nobody's talking about that kid. Yeah? Kid might grow up with a great stepdad. That's not their dad. That kid always knows that. And they are watching their dad do what he's doing. Not saying that anything on Kim's situation is bad and everything on Kanye's is bad. I'm saying that there's a mix of both in each way. I'm sure that Kanye is a good dad in his own way. I don't know. I would hate to find out that Kanye is pulling all this that's my kid stuff just as easily as the game wanted to pull how him being pulled from the Grammys is a race thing. It's not a race thing. Yes, the Grammys have a problem with racial bias. I'm acknowledging that. Kanye, it was not even officially announced, and it was just given to his team that the invitation was pulled all together to him because of his recent online activity. Well, I have a bad feeling for Kanye that he's going to be getting a similar letter to Coachella. especially now that like people are actually going after DL Hewley and stuff like that. Let an altercation pop up where somebody attacks Pete Davidson because of this, Kanye West's career might be over. And people are attributing it to like how Trump's influence had people storming the Capitol and whatever. I don't know enough about that situation. I never bought into that enough in the beginning. Like when I watched it as a whole, when I saw it all unfolding, there was so much like skepticism in my eyes that was like, that looked awful easy. Well, how the fuck you get past that? Because like even if you go on a tour to some of these things, you're not getting anywhere close to this shit. So there was a lot of stuff. And now you're seeing there was like government and government agents in there helping and shit. And it's like, I'm not using that for sure as a defense token when we're talking about racial bias, especially when I've seen racial bias. Let's talk about this. This was one other thing I was going to get into, and then we'll talk about the Ted Cruz thing. I watched the new Cheaper by the Dozen with Zach Braff and Gabrielle Union. I, like everyone else, when we first heard about it, was like, man, fuck all this. I can already see what it's coming to be, because there's a kid in a wheelchair. There's a Middle Eastern kid in there. There's like mixed kids. There's all black kids. There's white kids. All in this one family. It's like, okay, and it's a Disney show. So we're like, okay, they're pushing the diversity card, which we see that in every commercial that lives today. You got a white mom, black dad, Asian kid. How the fuck, right? Not saying people can't adopt, but like in every single, and there's always like a person in a wheelchair or on crutches or something. They have to represent every group in every commercial and every show now, to the point where it's like, it's too confusing. We can't even follow fucking Encanto. And they're all the same family members. Like, what the fuck are you guys trying to do? So anyway, I saw it like that. I watched the movie because I saw that it was debuting that weekend. I like Zach Braff. I haven't seen him since Scrubs. And I was like, okay, I know that Gabrielle Union and D. Wade are big on civil rights, so you kind of know already going in that you can expect some civil rights type talk. You get it. But I thought it was good. Remember, you're watching a Disney movie. It's cheesy. They know this going in. It's a cheesy movie. It's a remake that they've already done. I think they did it a long time ago, but they've done like 2 or 3 in my lifetime since I was coming up with Steve Martin. So I thought this one was good. The kids did a good job. The story actually kept you involved. I was kind of like, how in the hell are they going to pull this all together? I'm not going to give stuff away for you guys. It was good. There was a couple moments. Obviously, Zach Braff is a white dude. Gabrielle Union had a relationship prior, which, brought on a few kids. They came together Brady Bunch style, and then they had a few kids. Certain instances brought in other kids. So either way, you had the thing of like, there was once an African-American couple who had a kid. They broke up. Black woman gets with a white man, and now African-American man is telling white man, you'll never know how to raise my son. You're never going to be able to tell him how he's being perceived out in the world. And that was a tough moment, because there was so much deliberation even in myself as Zach Braff is sitting there going, I know that I can never tell you that, or I can never help him through that, because as a white dude, I understand that. I would have no way to help my buddies process the feelings that they have, because they would be so unique to that situation I'm given. I can tell you as a human being, right? I've been next to my black buddies and shit when fucked up things have happened, or we've gotten in trouble and people immediately like go, whoa, what the fuck, dude? And you're like, yo, I'm standing here too. Why is nobody talking to me? And I have seen that to the point where after that situation or something like that happens, where you walk into a store and you feel all the eyes come on you because you're hanging out with a black dude. I'm not saying I know what it feels like to be in that spotlight, but when you leave the situation, everybody who's not an asshole can go, God damn, that was fucked up. That was fucked up. But then it does make you realize how broad people's judgments go, right? And it makes it less divisive in the way of it. That doesn't just happen to young black dudes who dress a certain way or black people who dress a certain way or act a certain way. I walk in to Kroger almost every single day. I go to almost the same one or same two Krogers multiple times a day. And I would say for the first 2 years that I went there, before I even had my hand tattoo, just these, I would walk in without any jacket on, and the dude running the self-service checkout thing would be on my ass like he was checking me for ticks. To the point where I had to call somebody and be like, yo, not only does he do it at the self-checkout, but I caught him following me around the fucking store. It got worse, it got better, got the hand tattoo, then I went to another Kroger, and another motherfucker did it to me. And they just kept doing it, acting like I'm stealing shit because I'm tatted up and I look a certain way, and because I'm walking through a store at 1 o'clock and that's weird to them, because I should be at work and I'm not. It's like, yo, all this judgmental shit, we can, maybe some of us can relate to. Just because I haven't had the exact same experience as you doesn't mean that I don't understand what people being shitty feels like. So that moment was important, but I think there's a lot of conversation left, and the movie was only so long. Now, they did come to a place at the end where he goes, look, man, I was kind of bugging. I don't think it's bugging. I think it's a valid point. There is a conversation that needs to be had. We also have a conversation of fatherlessness in black communities, but fatherlessness is in a lot of communities. Ask Latin American kids. Ask white kids that grew up with not a lot of money or with single moms that had to work all the time. So I'm just saying there's struggle in the world that if you choose not to see it as certain races go through certain things, it is a way that our country came up that people that look a certain way were pushed into certain areas and their struggle looked a certain way, right? But people forget that the outcast of the white people that everyone thinks just sits up on this hill. So all the people that can't afford to be up on that hill, and you've got I'm not saying that there's never been oppression in this country, and I'm not saying that it doesn't still exist today. So we'll say that the oppressed are down here and the mighty are up here, right? Well, somewhere along there's this. Well, at some point, those two places meet. So whether there's going to be a wall dividing where that shit stops rolling downhill or where there's a major speed bump to keep rolling downhill, either way, shit's rolling downhill. And we're all fighting to get to the top of the hill. It's going to help us a lot if we stop trying to build this wall higher and figure out how to break the wall down, and we all fucking help each other get up the hill together. Excusing Kanye's behavior and writing it off as a racist thing by the Grammys is just lazy. It's laziness. Which is a segue into the Ted Cruz incident. So Ted Cruz misses his flight. He's photogged by a few, adoring people that can't wait to blow his spot up as he's getting quite chesty with two airport attendants. Now, if you've ever gone through airports, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't care what time you were supposed to be here, what time your dog got hit by a car and your kids got dropped. They don't give a shit. Give me your ticket, put your bag there, this is how much it is, go over there. That's it. There's no other conversation. Why? Security threats. Any sign of aggression, motherfucker, you ain't getting on that plane, especially today. So what happens? He gets all chesty. What's he say? Guys, we know. What's he say? Do you know who I am? No, bitch, you got a mask on. No, I don't know who you are. Well, I got your ID. I'm Ted Cruz. Don't give a fuck who you are. You still got to follow the rules, my guy. You showed up late. I don't care that you got to be at Senate. If Senate was that time, it's your responsibility to be here on time. Now, I think they said he ran late. I also think they said that the flight was ultimately canceled anyway, and he was trying to get on another one or something like that. and he wasn't happy with the choices that he had. It's like, dude, again, my mom just got caught up. She was traveling for work, and she was supposed to be there like 3 days, and she ended up getting canceled the day she was supposed to leave. She was just screwed on her own dime. She had to stay in, where she was at. And it was like, yeah, dude, shit happens, and it sucks. Welcome to being a real person. What's wrong? You can't afford to, fly private like some of your homies? I love it. I love it. It's my favorite shit in the world when white people that are of notoriety go, you don't know who I am? And people go, I don't give a fuck who you are. Not even just white people. I love it when it happens to anybody. I can tell you a personal experience. I worked at a Texas Roadhouse in Columbus, Ohio, and I was there a long time. Not a long time, but I worked there for a while, enough to where I got good and I was one of the trusted servers. So we had a famous Ohio State player that was known to come in this Texas Roadhouse, and he came in. And my manager told me, Cam, you take care of him, but look, he doesn't tip. Him and his girl are going to run you all night, asking for drinks, all kinds of food, and they're not going to eat shit. They're going to sit here and drink all night. He's going to cut up about how much money he has, and it's going to be a fucking nightmare. I'm like, yo, okay. So he goes, if he does it this time, come get me. Obviously, it goes down exactly like that. I go up, tell my manager, hey, man's trying to bounce. He didn't tip anything. His bill was like $250 at a Texas Roadhouse. Dude walks up. My manager walks up to him, taps him on the shoulder. This is a very famous NFL player that played for Ohio State, then played for the Steelers. Figure it out if you can. He walked up. Now, given this guy's jersey is hanging above the doorway, and he's got like signed pictures and stuff because he comes in there a lot, or he did. Manager walks up and goes, "Hey, shithead." He goes, "What?" He goes, "Hey, shithead. You do this every time." And he's waving the receipt in his face. You rack up hundreds of dollars. Now, Texas Roadhouses are loud. This is now the attention. You rack up hundreds of dollars. I've never seen a piece of receipt paper get smacked so loudly. Fap, 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 fap. You spend hundreds of dollars and you never tip my guys shit. You run around all crazy and you tell all these stories about how you're balling. What the fuck, man? This guy goes, don't you know who I am? He goes, yeah, a cheap piece of shit that used to play for the Buckeyes. Now get the fuck out. Woo! Woo-hoo! I love it, man. I just like watching people get put in their place. It's like, dude, none of us are shit. None of us are shit. Haven't we realized that? Kanye's not shit. Pete's not shit. Kim's not shit. The game ain't shit. I'm not shit. Tom Brady ain't shit. None of us are. We're just here, man. We're just here trying to have a good time. Why we're all trying to fuck with each other is still begets me every single day. Just be nice. Just be nice to each other. And while you're being nice, thumbs up the video because you know you made it all the way. You might as well. Thumbs up the video. Subscribe so you can see the rest of it. I just dropped a Vans half cab 30-year review. Go check that shit out. Got all kinds of stuff. Go watch something else that I put out. Lord knows there's enough variety. You shouldn't get bored. And I'll see you in the next one. Love you.